Hello, you beautiful bastards, and welcome to the third ever Danger Zone podcast. I am your host, Daniel Kelly, and I'm joined by the minions, Mr. Ryan Palmer.
Hello.
And the artist formerly known as Himpy.
Hello.
Without wasting any more of your time, we've got a packed show this week, so we're going to get started straight away by having a look at the Royal Rumble.
I've been in the danger zone.
And we begin by having a look at the WWE title match between CM Punk and The Rock.
Yeah, and this was probably the most anticipated WWE match since probably WrestleMania last year. And like so many people probably thought, the Rock won. And he's the new WWE champion. There was that false finish with Punk winning after the lights went out and the Shield attacked Rock and put him through the table. I wasn't a fan of this. And then Vince comes out and says he's going to strip Punk, but then The Rock says, let me take it from him. So the match is restarted and The Rock wins pretty quickly after the restart. I thought it was an okay match. I thought the restart was cheap and, it ruins the flow of a match and it robs kind of everyone of a really exciting ending, which I really didn't like. And so I'm kind of down on this match. It just wasn't what I was hoping it would be.
I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than you by the sounds of things. It was as good as I had expected. It wasn't better than what I expected. It wasn't worse. It was pretty solid, I thought. It kept me gripped throughout, which I think that's all you can really ask of it, to be honest, because Rock's not the best wrestler anymore, let's be honest. Yeah. He wasn't ever the greatest in-ring performer, but I think CM Punk did a really good job. I wouldn't say he carried him, but he certainly held the match together, I would say. It was definitely better than WrestleMania, Cena and Rock, but I think it was always going to be because CM Punk is a better wrestler than John Cena. I didn't have a problem with the lights going out malarkey. If that would have been the finish of the match, I would have been happy there. But the problem that I have is that the match restarted, and I don't know, I just wouldn't have done it that way. What do you reckon, Himpy?
The one problem I had is the finish to the restart. Once he hit the people's elbow, I was fully expecting Punk to kick out there.
Yeah, same. I agree.
When he got the freak out, that was sort of, weren't expecting that. It was a bit flat, sort of.
434 days ended with an elbow drop, basically.
I was expecting a couple more false finishes after that one, to be honest, and then maybe a rock bottom to win it.
I agree. I think I've not got a problem with Rock winning the title whatsoever, because I was expecting it partly, but I just don't want him to face Cena again at Mania, really. But we'll get into that later on.
Yeah, I think I'm not haven't got a problem with Rock winning. I mean, I think it it's kind of speaks kind of highly to the CM Punk that he will be beaten by. I mean, it's I think it's quite good for him. I'm sure he's really happy to have dropped it to The Rock, because instead of like back to Cena or I don't know, to someone like Orton or Sheamus. I mean, I'm sure it feels bigger to him, and he's like really caps off a great title reign for him.
I agree. It's definitely one of the best title reigns of all time, I would say, in terms of modern history anyway.
Yeah, definitely,
yeah. Moving on to the Royal Rumble match in itself.
Yeah, well, this was, again, as everyone, I'm sure, predicted, was won by John Cena. Kind of a mixed bag with the Rumble. I thought I did really enjoy it, especially early going, but then it's the same old people. About 3/4 through the match, and it just I don't know. I got a bit of a downer on it because it was like they weren't highlighting guys like Ziggler and Bryan and things like that in a substantial way. And Ziggler was in there the longest, I know, but he didn't really do much during the match. That was my point exactly. Yeah, it was kind of it was disappointing. I think he got 2 eliminations maybe at the most.
He always seemed like he was in the background.
Yeah.
He didn't really have a moment in the match, or he didn't really have a noteworthy elimination. I mean, I couldn't tell you who eliminated actually off the top of my head.
I think we eliminated someone early on, I think, and then Jericho. But I think
Jericho, yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't too much of that. It was disappointing, really. Yeah, I mean, the final 4 was down to Cena, Ryback, Sheamus, and Ziggler. And Ziggler went, and then by the time it was the final 3, I was pretty of Cena, Ryback, Sheamus. I was pretty, oh god, well, I don't want any of these to win.
One thing I did notice in the closing stages, when you had Sheamus and Cena at their big stare down, and let's point at the WrestleMania side, the yearly spot, again involving John Cena and a top liner. There was no reaction really, similar to when Cena and Orton did it a couple of years back. There's just nothing, which proves to me that the crowd wanted to see an outsider in with a shot of winning the Rumble in the final stages.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, if WWE expects people to, go crazy for moments like this, but it just sums up that people don't. Maybe it's just that crowd don't really like. If they'd have done that in a normal Raw crowd, maybe there would have been some kind of reaction. But I mean,
I agree.
But that crowd didn't even seem that, as smart as some of the other ones, like at the TLC pay-per-view, or I say smart,
but crowd.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't worthy of like the occasion. Like, because maybe if I don't know, like the Rock, going back to the Rock Punk one, maybe that would have been. I expected more of a reaction there, really. But I mean, there we go. Yeah. So I also noticed Ryback again. I'll talk about him in the hope that he'll one day be fired or something like that. He didn't really get good reaction again, and he was booed a fair bit. I thought there was like little pockets of boos up until like the final 3, and then I suppose he was the lesser of 2 other evils at that time, with Sheamus and Cena being left, and then people got behind him a little bit more. But yeah, he was really not much reaction at all, and if there was reaction, it was boos, especially when he was like attacking. Like Jericho, I think he did. Jericho gave him a code breaker, but yeah, he was not that liked. And I thought.
Sorry.
So I thought the ending with Cena and Ryback, just the back and forth when it was just them two, was pretty poor as well. And I'm having nightmares already between a match that will probably take place between them at some point down the line, because that'll be shocking. Cena can have some good matches with the right people, but with Ryback, I mean. Jesus Christ, that is going to be a sight.
It will be. It won't be pretty. It'll be bowl and shoe ugly, as JR often reminds us.
Personally, I enjoyed the Rumble match. I think last week on the show we all predicted the winner. That was the obvious choice, and they went with it. My personal highlight got to be the Jericho return. Caught everyone out, caught the audience out, caught the live crowd out. That was pretty great, pretty good moment.
Yeah, definitely.
It was unexpected.
It's
a testament to Jericho to come back after 5 months. I know he's one of the best workers of all time, and you don't really lose it, but he came back after 5 months and straight into a 45-minute role. Yeah. And I know the Rumble isn't as tiring as I'd imagine a one-on-one match is, but a 45-minute roll in your first match back, and I think he put 1 foot wrong when he tried to give Cena the Walls of Jericho.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
other than that, it was a pretty flawless performance. I thought
definitely the man of the match. I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
He did certainly the biggest reactions as well. People really were rooting for him.
Yeah, I was really pleased with the reaction he got actually.
Yeah.
There seemed to be lots of Y2J chants all the way through the whole match until he got eliminated.
Definitely.
There's big boos when Jericho was eliminated.
Yeah.
So he was. Have him back. Weren't expecting that at all.
No. Shame really. He couldn't have gone on longer. I think certainly with how well he was received, it would have been nice he could have got at least to the final 4 or something like that. But yeah, that would have been a lot better. But yeah. So other surprise entrants we had were, I thought there would be more, to be honest, but we had Goldust and the Godfather,
Godfather,
which was nice, but unspectacular really. But I like the Godfather though, just getting eliminated straight away and then dancing off. That was funny.
That was the definition of a wasted entrant. That was.
Yeah. And of course we had Bo Dallas.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Who he could be up there with Wade Barrett for, being average. Although,
it's funny you said this because coming up to Raw next, on my notes in front of me, I've actually written down that it was slightly below average Bo Dallas versus slightly above average Wade Barrett.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know why they picked. I suppose they want to get him up there for some reason on the main roster. I don't know why. I don't think this was the way to do it because
I think with I've not got any problem with a new guy being called up, and I've not got any problem with it being Bo Dallas because he's instantly been introduced to a massive pay-per-view audience. But the way he was introduced, he obviously got no crowd reaction, which I was expecting, but it didn't help him that his entrance was during Kofi Kingston's chair spot.
Yeah.
Because it was like, 2-second shot of the Tron. Oh, never mind that. Look at this chair.
Yeah.
It didn't put him in the best of light straight away.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a lot of people who probably missed him being in the Rumble and didn't realise there was some new guy in there because they were too busy with looking at Kofi probably. But I mean, just the idea of bringing him in the Rumble, it doesn't seem like the best way to go. Like someone like Pac or Adrian Neville now in NXT, this was like ideal for him to debut or someone like him to debut in a situation like this where he would again come out and he would have got no reaction because no one knew where he was. He'd hit his finisher, the 360 shooting star press, and people would have lost their shit for it.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
He just got to do the move and he's over, and that's it. And I mean, that would have been perfect. And then he could have eliminated Barrett and they could have done exactly the same thing, but people are going to want to see him and have an interest of him because of this move. I mean, it's all he would have...
A logical elimination.
Yeah, and it would have been a great way to debut him.
Yeah, I agree. A logical elimination would have been where, say, he hits a move and then he goes for it again, but because he's a young rookie, he gets caught out and gets pushed out or something.
Yeah.
And then it'd be a good way to get him across, and it'd instantly be a crowd favourite.
Yeah, definitely. I mean...
But yeah. I'm not got too many complaints about bringing a new guy in.
No.
Got to be honest.
I'm not a fan of him anyway. I haven't watched him in NXT and I've caught him in FCW as well, but I'm not convinced with him. I don't know what he'd be like as a heel, but as a babyface, he's just so bland. And he doesn't even seem that good in the ring. I mean, he's, probably average. So he's
I can't recall seeing him wrestle once, actually. No, to be honest, on television. I think I saw him at WrestleMania Access last year. And he faced possibly Damien Sandow, but I can't recall seeing him on television.
No. Yeah.
But I'm on the fence with him at the minute. We'll see where he goes.
Yeah, definitely the weaker of the two brothers between him and who was then Husky Harris, now Bray Wyatt, who is doing great with his gimmick at the moment in NXT. But that's another topic entirely. So obviously Kofi had his little spot again.
He did.
Nowhere near as good as last year, but that would have been impossible to do because that was amazing.
I think this year you were expecting it.
Yeah.
And as last year it was so sort of out of the blue.
Yeah. I mean, it was alright. It was
clever.
I liked how he fell down onto Tensai. That was quite good. The
chair got more TV time than Tensai did. Like full-on facial shot.
Pretty sure we're going to get the Kofi spot every year now. They're going to find some new way of doing that little spot.
The problem is that's literally all he does all year.
Yeah.
It's noteworthy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that's the only thing he does. It's his Royal Rumble spot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Unless anyone else has anything to add on that, on the Rumble match, we can move on, I guess.
On to the World Heavyweight Championship match, which opened the show. it was the Big Show versus the Mexican Bret Hart, Alberto Del Rio.
This was. I'd forgotten about Bret Hart at the start there. That was kind of weird, but so this was a last man standing match, of course, and I thought
it's got to be match of the night, surely.
Yeah, I'd probably go along with that. Del Rio, excuse me, Del Rio retains it, the title when he has Big Show in a cross arm breaker, and then Ricardo Rodriguez proceeds to gaffer tape Big Show's legs to the bottom rope. And I wasn't mad about the finish of this match, which was, I thought, a very, very good match. And I think it just made the finish seem unsatisfactory and just seemed unnecessary and overbooked to me. I understand they probably did this to keep the feud going, but I think there's better ways to do it. It's not doing favours to Del Rio really and Ricardo Rodriguez because they look anything but valiant baby faces from doing that.
That could be part of their appeal. To be honest, they're not typical baby faces. They'll stoop to lows to get the upper hand on heels, which there isn't a character like that in WWE at the minute.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of a it's not what they should be doing with what they're doing, because I wouldn't agree with that character wise, because at the moment they seem to be pushing, especially with what they're doing, how they got Del Rio over as a babyface to begin with was kind of how sympathetic he became by being so worried about Ricardo Rodriguez, even the crowd I thought were a bit like, this isn't right. Like I noticed that kind of in the air a bit when it was happening.
Yeah, I think the main concern was probably having Big Show losing cleanly in the same match twice in a row to him, because that would have sort of sent out the message, well, he's been beaten twice cleanly now, that should be pretty much it for him.
That's right.
They seem to want to continue with it, don't they? So
that would have definitely been a feud ender.
Yeah. I think that's why they went for the funny finish.
I thought the table bump was pretty spectacular off the staging arrangement. I thought Del Rio took that quite nastily. I think he landed a bit more on his neck than what I'd have liked to.
For the first time ever, I felt some pangs in my heart go out to Del Rio because I was worried about
Mexican love.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the most consistent on the roster, I'd say, at the minute.
I'm going back. He's doing well as a.
And that's to be honest, it'd be a disservice if I didn't include Big Show in that. I think at the minute he's one of the most consistent on the roster.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
2013, I would say Big Show Del Rio is leagues ahead of everything else in the ring.
Yeah, he's come off his really surprisingly really good feud with Sheamus, and I think this one is even better now.
Exactly,
doing really well. That was a really good spot they did out there with the chokeslam through the table from the light tubes hanging from the sky. So that was very good, and I think just both their performances in the match was really impressive as well. I mean, like crowd interaction and just the how they got the characters across and things like that. They just did really well, and I mean. It looks like they probably will have another match, and
I'm looking forward to
I would look forward to it, yeah. Although it may be in the Elimination Chamber, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think there'll be some guys added to that because we're going to have to. We'll go into the Chamber in a little while. I've got a couple of bits to say on that after we've done Raw. So
yeah, okay.
I think, the highlight of the whole match for me was definitely the expression on Big Show's face after Del Rio kicked him right in the bollocks.
That was brilliant.
I think it was the most anguish I've ever seen on a wrestler's face. I think he looked genuinely in pain, and my eyes were watering for him.
Yeah, he just stood there for a minute though. It's like, ooh.
It did verge on comedy, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I thought it was quality.
But yeah, I did. But I mean, I like seeing that in Big Show matches. He does do that well, and it doesn't hurt his character when he does stuff like that. Just, it must have hurt getting hit in his big giant bollocks. So,
Swiftly moving on. Team Rhodes Scholars and Team Hell No. I wasn't a big fan of this match, to be honest. I didn't think they really clicked, as they haven't done for the last 3 or 4 months. I don't think they've really had a good match yet. Not to say that the match has been bad, but I didn't think they're nothing special. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought it was a nice little match. I thought it was one of their better ones they've had. I see what you're saying, but I think more of it is the tag team environment where it's so rigid with what you can do. Like you've got to have, it's basically Brian get beat down in the middle of a match, and then
the hot tag to Kane. Yeah.
Kane's not the best guy to come in for a hot tag because he's a bit more limited, and he can't really get the crowd in it so much. But I mean, I thought it was a nice little match. Nothing memorable, but solid undercard match. But it was it was only a 10-minute match really. So
I'm surprised there was no title change, to be honest.
Definitely.
Yeah,
that's a lot of times that Rhodes Scholars have lost term now.
Yeah, that was the surprising thing. That's what I thought. I think, well, it's another match between them, like the third or fourth title shot, I think. So they must be getting it now. And I thought it was actually logical to take the titles off Team Hell No here because I'm thinking they were gonna start the breakup of them sooner rather than later, and that looks like they may be going towards that now. But obviously they've kept the titles, but. Yeah, I'm not sure where they're going to go with that.
I think we've seen the end of Rhodes Scholars, though. Just given what we saw on Raw.
Yeah, surprising, isn't it? Yeah.
I agree. I think, though, that... Are they both in the Intercontinental Cup? I think they are, aren't they? Possibly. I can see them facing off in a tournament match. With Sandow and Rhodes, that is.
Yeah. It's weird, really, because I suppose no one really thought Brian and Kane were going to stay together for quite a long period, and you kind of I thought that Sandow and Rhodes were going to be like the main team of the tag team, going to take over from them, and
I see where you come from. Yeah.
Well, we don't know because I mean they've lost a lot in singles anyway. When they've been a tag team, it may be that they'll get the titles at some point, but yes, I'm not sure where they're going to go with that, but yeah.
So then, in conclusion. My rating out of 10 for the Royal Rumble, I would give it a solid 7. I thoroughly enjoyed the card. I thought it was flawed. There was a few flaws throughout, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot more good on the pay-per-view than bad. If you can look past the results, which you might not necessarily have wanted to happen, I think match quality and overall content was pretty spot on, to be honest. I would say a solid 7.
Yeah. I would also give it 7. I feel I've been a bit generous with it. I nearly give it a 6, but I felt the main event was a bit of a letdown for me. It wasn't a bad match, but I did feel that it could and should have been more. But generally everything else was pretty good. But just a lot of the booking decisions I wasn't pleased with, and how they seem to be going towards WrestleMania now is just too obvious. And so that's my only. I was hoping they were going to shake things up, but obviously that didn't happen. So yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much echo those thoughts as well, and 7 out of 10 sounds about right for me.
Yeah, and of course on the pre-show there was Antonio Cesaro defending the United States Championship against The Miz. Again, an okay match. I thought wasn't. It was only about a 7-minute match, so it wasn't anything that's going to be spectacular. I think if these guys had longer, it would be something a lot better. But it was okay for what it was, a pre-show match, so pretty much a dark match that they've filmed and put on YouTube. So, no complaints about it. It was okay.
I'm amazed that Cesaro went over clean.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't really make sense moving forward onto Raw that they've furthered the feud after Miz has already lost with absolutely no interference or nothing.
Yeah, I suspect. I suppose it was kind of underhand heel tactics by how he slammed him into the apron, like the metal under the ring. So maybe I don't know, but
yeah, I think in terms of the way that heels are booked usually in WWE, in today's WWE, I think there's nothing wrong with the way Cesaro won, to be honest. I think it could be viewed as, it was an intelligent move and the babyface got outsmarted.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will see. I'm a bit worried about there'll be a Miz. Miz will beat him at some point for the title, but we'll see.
Surely that means that Cesaro will be pushed higher when he drops the title.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, that could happen, but you never know. I don't think they'll be ready to pull the trigger on like a main event run for him yet, though.
Possible Money in the Bank contender?
Yeah, I think so.
Beat that at WrestleMania or the pay-per-view, wherever they decide to have one at Mania or not.
Yeah, if we're doing early picks, I'd have thought Ryback and Cesaro would have been the two to probably get them back, get the briefcases this year, if that is at the pay-per-view.
I agree. So then, anything else we want to add on the Rumble, boys, or are we about done?
No, I reckon that's about it for me, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Another people that move. Yes! This together, do to beat this guy. Cover. Top of the line. The Rock is back. The Rock is back. The 10-year wait is over. Unbelievable. The Rock is again the People's Champion.
Moving on to the following night's Raw, which was a Raw Roulette special from Las Vegas. And it was eventful.
Yes, definitely for good and catastrophically bad reasons. We'd usually start off this bit talking about probably the end segment or something, but we can't really do it without talking about how the story of the show progressed between like Punk, Rock, Vince and Heyman, and then eventually Lesnar. So we'll start at the start. And this was Punk coming to the ring to kick off the show. Furious he was, and he basically talks about the injustice of the match being restarted, and calls it the Phoenix Screwjob. Then Vince comes out and says he has evidence that Heyman has conspired with the Shield, and announces a performance review for Heyman for later in the show. Okay kickoff to the show, I thought. It was pretty brief. Not really that much to talk about. I mean, nothing, Punk acting how you'd expect.
He conveyed that he was genuinely pissed off, which is always going to happen with CM Punk with a microphone in his hand. He's going to make you feel how he wants you to feel at the end of the day. So I think no complaints about that. I thought it was acceptable. Yeah,
definitely. So moving on, we had around the second hour of the show, The Rock came out for a promo, and basically, I'm paraphrasing here, said Punk's reign of terror is over, and now it's the people's era. And then Punk interrupts and says he made the title prestigious, and Rock should just walk over to him and hand him the title and apologise and say, "You are the best in the world." I
thought this segment was probably the second best one on Raw, I would say, after the final segment. But I thought Punk was golden there.
He was absolutely superb in this bit. Brilliant.
Yeah, really, really impressive.
The best line of the promo for me was when he said that he was going to give The Rock a rematch. I thought that's...
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth there.
Yeah, definitely. So basically this set up their rematch at Elimination Chamber. So unless things change, it looks like it's going to be a one-on-one match.
I'd like to see the Elimination Chamber match have a decisive finish. Yeah. I'd like to see it be a good half-hour match. I think it's going to be a challenge as to how they can differ from the Rumble match without the stop-start business. But I think it's going to be quite a challenge for Punk to come up with some new things to be able to do with The Rock.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Punk... I know this sounds silly because he won the match halfway through, technically, but I'd like to see him a little bit more competitive regarding a finishing sequence at the Chamber, because if I'm not mistaken, he didn't hit a GTS. I don't think, did he?
No, he didn't. Yeah,
No.
I don't mind that.
2 or 3 near falls towards the end of a finishing sequence for Punk.
Yeah,
just to prove that he could. He was, he's this close from beating him without any interference to prove that he's capable of hanging with him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have to be kicking out each other's finishes for it to be good, because I think like a Night of Champions with Cena and Punk, that they just went over the top with that. And I think Bryan and Punk, although these are two of the best in WWE, they didn't have anything like that in their matches. So I mean, but I know exactly what you mean. They do need to make Punk look more competitive.
Punk needs to get a rub.
He does.
He needs it to show that he can hang with a Rock, like I just said. So
yeah, definitely. So if we go now to the end of the show, we had Vince coming out to give Heyman his performance evaluation. Before Heyman came out, he had said that Punk had been escorted from the building, so he couldn't appear at any point. And Vince asked Heyman if he had ever lied before in his life, and he admitted he had in the past to survive because he is a promoter, but swears that he had nothing to do with the Shield. And then footage was shown of Heyman talking to Brad Maddox and admitting to paying Maddox and the Shield to help Punk retain the title. And then in the footage, the Shield end up attacking Brad Maddox on Heyman's kind of order. They must have said backstage that, or not backstage, but beforehand, when this video would have taken place, that they were supposed to attack him. So yeah, I don't know if Maddox has been seen for a couple of weeks. So I suppose
I believe last week possibly, or the week before, there was a news bit on WWE.com saying that he'd been attacked outside the arena that SmackDown was in on the Tuesday night or something.
Oh really?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember seeing that. That's right.
Yeah.
No, I missed that.
Which that will probably link in somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless that is obviously what they were referring to, the beatdown.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I really liked that video package. I thought it was different to what you normally see.
Yeah. And
the spontaneity of it all through. I know it wasn't a handheld camera, but it seemed like it reminded me of the way that TNA filmed some things backstage. Yeah. It was very sort of fly on the wall, and it was just different. Yeah, definitely. Refreshing.
Yeah. It was okay. So before Vince could fire Heyman, we get the Brock Lesnar music, and he comes down the ring, gets in his face, and then there's some classic lines by Heyman. He says, "Please leave the ring, Vince. Please leave the ring." And then like Lesnar feigns leaving Vince alone, then he gives him an F5. And in storyline has broken his hip or something like that by doing it to him. This I thought was a great end segment, and Heyman was astonishingly good.
He's the best non-wrestler ever.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
This performance was one of the best things I've seen for years.
Kudos to Vince as well. The way he took that F5, it looked better than the one that he gave John Cena when he came back last year at Extreme Rules.
It looked brutal.
The Raw after WrestleMania. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's credit to both that the segment and highlight of the show was between two sort of one nearly 50, one well past 50-year-old non-wrestlers.
Yeah.
But you could look at that two ways. You could say it's kudos to both of them, or it's not good. But
yeah.
I think it was a very good segment, and I think Vince and Heyman worked very well together. I think because there's a little bit of genuine animosity between each other, it definitely comes through and helps.
Yeah, the ending was soured a little bit. I watched the show live, and for whatever reason, I don't know why they did it, 10 minutes before Lesnar come out, the official WWE account decided to tweet a picture of Lesnar arriving backstage at Raw. I don't really understand why they decided to spoil that.
I think
I was I was kind of expecting Lesnar to show up, but I don't get why they did that.
Yeah, I think it is generally just to get people to tune in.
I agree.
I think they've done that before, and they did it with Flair. I mean, at the Slammies, I think Cole was like, "Oh, I wonder who will be announcing this award," or "We've got a special guest to announce this award," and then it was like there was a woo, like directly afterwards. And
I think if I might be mistaken here, but I think I can recall something happening on the Raw after WrestleMania 28, where a WWE account had tweeted that Lesnar had been seen in the building, and that was completely out of the blue. I know it had been rumoured to have been in Miami, but he wasn't even in the company at the time. And they tweeted it then still.
Yeah, it's definitely to get a big reaction on the ratings. That's what they want, isn't it?
I think it's fair enough. It's not good if you're watching the product live, but I think it's fair enough.
They got quite a few angry tweets their way, and I can understand that. I was pretty annoyed, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I like to look at Twitter when I'm watching it to see what's going on, and when that popped up, that sort of soured it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. For some reason, I didn't see it coming. I don't know why. Just because I thought he was not going to debut, not debut, but come back again yet. So, yeah, I couldn't believe I didn't see it coming.
When I watched Raw quite late this afternoon, the day that we're recording this, the day after, and I think I knew it was coming because I'd read something on Twitter about it before I'd watched it, like an idiot. Yeah. But if I thought to myself at the time, if I was watching that live and I didn't know it was coming, I don't think I would have known it was coming. I think it was very well done.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I kind of expected someone to show up at the end. I didn't think he was just going to fire Heyman and that would be it.
Yeah.
I was expecting some sort of interference, and I thought Lesnar was the most likely candidate.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It wouldn't have been an ending to the show if it had just been Paul Heyman, you're fired. See you later.
Yeah.
Right then, moving on. John Cena did a promo. The Shield didn't like it, and chaos ensued.
It did, and of course, there was actually a match between Cena and Cody Rhodes before Cena's promo.
There was.
Yeah. I mean, it was a complete squash of Cody, and it was a pointless match. I don't know why it happened. That poor guy.
It didn't have to be Cody Rhodes, did it? It could have been someone of 3MB or...
Yeah.
You know, someone completely disposable. But why Cody Rhodes? It's needless.
Yeah, it's not right. I mean, I don't know. Cena seems to be... I have been feeling less annoyed with Cena lately since he's been kind of... Well, he has never been in the back seat, but since he's been in the WWE title scene and stuff. And but now, I mean, that he's back, he seems to be pushed stupidly strong again. I mean, not that he wasn't, but I mean, he's just beating people and he's doing all the things that people hated so much before, where he's making people look terrible at their own expense and in ways that it doesn't even help him.
No, I do agree. I think the way... I think it was because he wasn't... He was obviously still being shoved down our throats, but he wasn't being shoved down our throats as much in recent weeks before the start of the year, basically. I think he was a lot more tolerable because he wasn't the main focus of the show. Yeah,
and he was losing, albeit, not cleanly. But yeah, so his promo was basically him just stating he was going to face the WWE champion at WrestleMania.
One thing, sorry, just butting in there, I noticed that he said Elimination Chamber. No, he didn't say Elimination Chamber, sorry. He said, or will I challenge CM Punk or The Rock? And at that point, the Elimination Chamber rematch hadn't been announced.
Yeah, they kind of spoiled that bit there, yeah. I noticed that as well.
I suppose it was logical to think that, though, that Punk could get his rematch at some point.
Yeah, but I was thinking possibly they could have teased him cashing in the rematch at Mania.
Yeah.
But we'll go on to that once we've finished talking about Raw. And then, obviously, the Shield ran in and started beating the living hell out of John Cena.
Yeah. Sheamus come down first, followed by Ryback, who,
that was boos for Ryback again, I thought.
Really?
I think I heard a few boos, definitely. And again, that they were indifferent towards Ryback until the catchphrases came out.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think he's a walking catchphrase, that man.
Yeah, yeah. It's whoever came up with that, fucking bastard. That's all I can say. But yeah. So eventually, the Shield did take out Sheamus, Cena, and Ryback, and gave a triple powerbomb to Cena, which was good. It was good that they got the better of them all, albeit
exactly.
singly at one at a time. But I mean, they still got the better of them all, which was quite a big thing.
It's refreshing that they seem to. I'm not 100% committed to this, but they seem to be completely behind a new faction. It's as if they've learned their mistakes from the Nexus more recently.
Yeah.
In the past, and now they're finally going full throttle towards building a massive mega heel stable.
Yeah.
Finally, but the reason I'm a little bit reserved on this is because we don't really know what's going to happen until they face the top stars in a match. Could be like a SummerSlam 2010 burial all over again.
Yeah.
Just a clean win for the faces, which completely lost all steam and credibility for the heels.
Yeah, I think they've got to be careful now with the Shield because I think they're at a risk of interest levels waning a bit because they're not really using them that much. I think
that's
they need
part
to.
of the mystique, though.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why people are still gripped by it, me included. I think the fact that we don't know completely why they're doing these beatdowns is intriguing.
Yeah, I would like them to mix it up a little bit at the start. I mean, they've been there for 2 months now, and they've only had one match. And I thought for a moment that they were going to cut a promo in the ring after they'd beat them all up. And I'd like to see some of that start to seep in a bit. Because, I mean, I don't know. I'm not looking forward. I want to see them, but I'm forgetting that they're not a focal point. Like subconsciously.
I know what you mean. They seem to be in the background a little bit.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. They've got to be careful if they're just like forgetting about them. And
I think with the debut at the Survivor Series, they could have maybe held them off to debut, say, the night after WrestleMania 29, when WWE is lacking a bit moving into the new WWE season, if you like, when things could do with a fresh idea to boost ratings and keep interest levels high, because you always get a lull after WrestleMania. And I think if they could have held them off for 6 months, I know it's a long time, but think just how fresh they'd have been moving into a period where not a lot really goes on.
Yeah. I think you've got to wonder what their original plan for them was, because I mean they never should have had that match at the TLC pay-per-view. Because that was
very true. Good point.
Without Punk's injury. So yeah, maybe their first match was going to be at Mania or something, or maybe later on. But yeah, I would like to see it mix up a bit. I suppose it's good that they haven't done too much too soon with them, but I'd like to see some newer things come in with it, because
I think we're going to have a match at Elimination Chamber. I think we're going to have. I think because the WWE title's not going to be in a chamber match, and we need an excuse for a second chamber match. If you're going to have the World Heavyweight title in the first one, I think we could have the first ever Elimination Chamber tag between the 3 Shield members and Sheamus, Cena, and Ryback. Yeah,
that would be interesting. How exactly would they do that with in an Elimination Chamber? I suppose they could two of each team in the chamber. Yeah, no, I really like that.
And then
be like a war game style.
Or I was going to say Lethal Lockdown.
Yeah. Well, similar thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think that's a very good shout. Shame it'll never happen. They're not intelligent enough to think of something like that. Probably.
I'm not sure. If not, I can't see the point in them beating those 3 down with no comeback. If not,
yeah.
I think we'll see. We don't know. I think that's just an idea I've put out there, which I'd like to see.
That is a very good idea. It's something that it seems like they would build to. Like with all that, I mean, the other guys haven't got anything else to do. I mean,
exactly. Cena needs something to keep him busy before he goes on to Mania.
Yeah, that would.
Ryback's not really involved at the minute, and Sheamus is Sheamus hasn't had anything to do since the Big Show feud, really.
Yeah.
And I think if the match was to happen, you'd have to have a one-on-one start, and say then the third entrant would have to be a heel, a Shield member.
Yeah.
For the psychology of the match. But I think if they give it sort of 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I think it could be a show stealer.
Yeah, I would definitely look forward to that match. Probably more than anything on the show, definitely. Yeah. Well, let's hope they're listening to the Danger Zone podcast.
If you're listening, you can follow us at DZ Podcast. Yeah, we'll be willing to take a small fee for any booking ideas. Moving on to Big Show and Alberto Del Rio, and we had a roll of tape come out again.
Yeah. This was supposed to be a body slam match, but that never happened.
Oh yeah, I've completely forgot all about that.
The only thing I didn't quite like about this was, I've always kind of thought with Big Show's KO punches, why isn't he able to hit it like as soon as the match starts?
Yeah.
And he did basically. I think the second thing he did to Del Rio was punch him in the face. So I don't know why he doesn't win every match, but just being able to punch someone. I mean, I suppose
that's too logical.
Looking into it too much, and I suppose I love his knockout punch finish. I think it is really good.
It's impactful.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, he must punch him kind of hard. There's
definitely contact there. I know you have the old stamp and slap the thigh thing, but at some of the slow-mo replays and GIFs that are floating around the internet, you can see he properly cracks him in the face.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. This segment was basically Big Show getting revenge, and after he KO punched Del Rio, he taped his arm to the second rope and then proceeded to beat up Ricardo. Really, really well done, I thought this was.
I thought it was quality as well.
Big Show was pretty masterful here. He didn't do too much too soon. He was kind of going back and forth with Del Rio, like taunting him, and just really impressive.
It's a great way for Big Show to get his heat back.
Definitely. And obviously Del Rio did great as well by. Like, he really believed his concern and things.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's developing into a good sympathetic babyface.
Yeah, definitely.
When they let him play the role of a sympathetic babyface, I think he's in for big things with this face turn. I'm a big fan of him. Since the Rumble, I've started to really quite like him. And yeah, he's doing brilliant. I suppose if I might be wrong, but I think a lot of his time in Mexico, he was a babyface as a luchador. So maybe this shouldn't be as much as a surprise as it is to some of us that he's doing well in this kind of role. But yeah, really, I'm kind of getting close to, looking forward to seeing Del Rio now and the Big Show. To be honest, I'm past that stage. I have been for a little while. To be honest, I did say last week or the week before that they're the best, one of the best things on WWE TV.
Really can't speak highly enough about that segment.
Also go to Ricardo Rodriguez. I think he's playing a masterful role.
Yeah.
In order to enable Del Rio to gain the sympathy.
Yeah.
I think he's spot on.
Definitely.
Moving on, we had Dolph Ziggler and Chris Jericho, and then that led to Ziggler and Jericho tag team facing Team Hell No in a pretty decent match, I thought.
You got a nice little taste of Jericho and Bryan as well. That's something I want to see down the line, definitely.
Yeah. Now we're talking. That's what we want, definitely. I think it'll be magic when them two get together. Well, that sounds wrong. But never mind.
Oh dear. Yeah, so Team Hell No gets the win here when Kane chokeslams Ziggler after Jericho had walked out on him. And again, more tension between Hell No here, so don't know if breakup is going to be coming soon. We'll see. But another good little segment. So yeah, and again it advances. Does well. It advances two storylines really, just that bit. So pretty good.
It was good. I think that's pretty much it for all the major talking points of Raw. Any other little bits from the other segments that we want to talk about?
Yeah, special mention to Sheamus and Sandow in that tables match, which I thought was the match of the night, and very good.
I've got that written on my notes. I think
really nice.
I'd say it's the best match I've seen Sandow have, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. Yeah, he did some really good stuff with the table when he had Sheamus' arm under the leg and was like stamping
I've
on
never
that.
seen that spot before.
No, I'd never seen it. So
I thought the
very
finish
impressed.
was good as well with the white noise. It looked really good.
Yeah, very, very good match there. And then another good match, Cesaro versus Orton.
Yeah.
Miz as a special ref. Orton won that again. That looks like it's furthering Miz and Cesaro. Didn't really hurt Cesaro that much.
I'm a little bit sick of seeing Orton and Cesaro, to be honest.
Yeah,
now. I think it's been 4 out of the last 5 Raws, I think, in Orton v Cesaro. I know they're having good matches, but maybe time to freshen things up a little bit.
Yeah, if it was anyone else but them, if it was like, say, Miz and someone and they were having that many matches, Miz and Barrett, it would get old very quickly. And I mean, as they're having good matches, you can't complain. Hopefully that'll be the last one.
Every match has been different in fairness. They've not got stale, have they?
Yeah, so next up we had Mr. Charisma himself, Bo Dallas, versus Wade Barrett, who and Bo got the win here. This was a nothing match. No one cared. I don't care.
I care because if you're going to have Dallas go over Barrett, which I don't agree with, to be honest, straight away. I'll get into that in a minute though. But if you're going to have Dallas go over Barrett, I think you've got to push it. The commentators have got to have been making a more of a deal of it than what they did. I know they did for about like 20 seconds of airtime, but it was literally, Bo Dallas has won. Never mind, backstage.
Yeah.
It's, the commentators, they should have had a good minute or two and a replay after replay and pushing that. What a big upset and what a major win for Bo Dallas. We've seen a future star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't. It was. I said this last week, but it was Impact-esque, where they cut backstage straight away and move on to the next thing without having any time for anything to settle in.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the rest of the show was an abomination. Multiple segments were some of the worst television, not just on wrestling, on Raw even, but in television that I've ever seen. Just vile. We had Tensai in lingerie in a dance contest with Brodus Clay.
That was embarrassing. That made me embarrassed to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, and
I'm glad I was watching it alone.
Yeah, yeah. I also had Caitlyn versus Tamina in a Lumberjill match, which was just pathetic and a waste of time. Carly singing "Sexy Boy." We know that Carly can't read. It seems now. So then we had Ryback and the Primetime Players in a laugh off, which was disgraceful.
I forgot that even happened, to be honest.
Yeah, that was God. These segments, I actually became really depressed watching it. I haven't recovered yet, to be honest.
When going back to the Carly segment, I knew what was coming as soon as they were in the ring. To be honest,
yeah,
and it was brutal. When it was over, I just imagined one tear running down a old Indian chief's cheek.
Yeah,
like in the old Western films of his lost tribe. I just thought it was tragically bad.
It was, and so much time was spent on them as well. I mean, with what we've talked about quite a lot of good stuff, but I mean, at least half of the stuff that was on this episode was just this shit.
I think we've done the show a favour, really, because we've focused on the good things, which is good, which is what I'd assume that you want to hear.
Yeah.
You can't be listening to wrestling podcasts and reading wrestling blogs and hearing constant negativity. It's not what you want. If people are so negative about things, why watch it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just turn it off. Concentrate on the good things. And we know that the bad things were unbelievably bad, but if you can look past them, it wasn't the worst of shows, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think if you take 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 segments out, I think it'd have been a very good show. If it was a 2-hour Raw, I think it'd have been a really good show.
Yeah. So another news. Trish Stratus was announced as the next inductee into the Hall of Fame.
She was well deserving as well.
Yeah, don't have a problem with that. I'm surprised it didn't happen when they were in Canada for Mania.
True.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon will induct her? I think possibly Lita.
Probably
Not very
Linda
sure, to be
Linda
honest.
McMahon, just silent in her wheelchair. I reckon going back to the old. Well, I don't know what year it was, but back in the Attitude Era when
2001.
that whole wonderful
17.
that wonderful feminism loving storyline happened. But yeah,
Right, ratings out of 10. I've gone for a 5 because, but if we didn't have a couple of decent matches and a couple of good angles, it would have been a 2 or a 3. But on the other hand, if we wouldn't have had the bad angles, I would have probably said 7 or 8. So
yeah,
I've gone for a 5 out of 10.
yeah.
I think there was overall. I think the bad did outweigh the good, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Before the last segment, I'd already decided on a 3 out of 10.
Right.
Although there was good stuff, I mean, the bad stuff would have been, if that was just that show, that would have been minus figures, and that's not possible. But I mean, that was literally I was disgusted, and I just hated it.
At times it seemed like Wrestle Crap presents Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
It was...
Usually you only see about one of these type of segments, these bad ones, in one episode of Raw, like sometimes, but there was like 3 or 4 of them.
I don't think that we've ever had a good Raw roulette, to be honest. I think
No.
Obviously in 2011 it was the same night that Punk cut the worked shoot promo, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're the best nights for wrestling television, to be honest.
So, like I said, 3 out of 10 I would have said, but after the end I would give it a 5 as well.
What do you reckon, Himpy?
Yeah, 5 sounds about right. The good was very good. The bad was very bad. When your commentator says this is absolutely awful at least 3 times on the show, you know it's bad. 5 out of 10, yeah.
5 out of 10. Right then, shall we end this mess, boys?
Yeah, just thinking about these segments, I need to have a cry or
go
something.
for a lay down.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Thank you for listening again to the Danger Zone. There's been literally dozens of people listening. Please do get in touch. We've had 1 comment so far on any of the forms of media that we've got up and running, and that was from an actual personal friend. So any comments on any of the websites we've got running, we've got a website at www.thedangerzonepodcast.com. You can follow us on Twitter at DZPodcast. You can subscribe to us on YouTube by searching for the Danger Zone Podcast, or you can search for the same thing on Facebook and give us a like and tell us what you think. Thanks once again for listening, and until next week, you've been in the Danger Zone.
I've been in the Danger Zone.